Welcome to Howay Say. Throughout the season, we'll be chatting to Newcastle United fans about all things Newcastle. We'll be talking about transfers and tactics, the highs and lows of match day. Today, we're kicking things off with our pre-season prediction. I'm joined by Jonna, and the first question I've got for him today is, how do you think Newcastle's summer is going?
I think it's going as well as it possibly could be. I think for pre-season stuff, I always get excited for the games. Don't get excited for the transfers, especially not now with the social media world. The signings that have come in, you look at them and you think, don't know anything about them. The speculation that you see on some of the websites is that they've got this player and that player. Truth be told, we don't know anything about them either. So the excitement for me will come at the first game of the season, see where we're at then, and then once the transfer window closes. And that's the excitement for the transfers wise, but the whole thing about pre-seasons, it's games for me. That's more exciting than all the speculation.
You talk about not knowing players, but if you think recent transfers, Isak came in and nobody knew who he was at that point. Bruno, nobody knew who he was. Joe Linton came in and again, we didn't really know who he was, and he started off not very good, but eventually he's come in to be quite an important player. So it is an exciting time.
I'm fully with you on that. The one exception to that really is Bruno, because he was that little bit older. If you look at all of our signings and the rest of the first team squad, you're talking about 23 and under for the bulk of them, and we're putting a lot of our trust, a lot of our expectations on some young lads who maybe you could expect them to do 10, 15 games a season where they perform well. But if our expectations aren't high enough, if our expectations are that high, we'll end up getting let down. So as long as we understand that we might get some exciting players, but we need to have some kind of extra little bit of something age-wise. Maybe Ramsey's that, and we've already got him. Bruno certainly, but it's definitely somebody who's a little bit older than what we've got currently.
And from the outside looking in, that is the worry at the moment, isn't it? Obviously, you've got Gordon's just gone for a great fee. Tonali's gone for a fantastic fee. And then the talks of Bruno leaving. Obviously, you're starting to then pull away that experience that you've built up over the years and replacing it with younger players. You know, the saying goes, you can't win anything with the kids.
Yeah, Alan Hansen. I tend to agree with you, but if we're looking at quality-wise, the players who we know have left and who you've just talked about, did they do well for us last season? Well, the answer is no, really. Tonali, despite the fact that everyone loves him and we know he's a great player, you probably count on the fingers of one hand that the number of good games that he had last year. His season for us was the one before. Kieran Trippier, the same. His quality, primarily because of his pace. You could watch him getting roasted down the wings last season. Anthony Gordon, I don't think he gave up. I think he tried a lot, but for some reason his quality wasn't there. He couldn't get past people. He couldn't do any of his tricks. So yes, it's disappointing to lose them, but in terms of quality, it's not a massive loss, but it's the experience, that's the thing.
Yeah. Are they the kind of players you need around for these younger players to go on and flourish?
Yes, I'm fully with you on that one. So you've lost Lascelles, who was club captain up until January. You've got Trippier, who was the captain in waiting, and then he was captain afterwards. Bruno, if he goes, then he's certainly in that category. But you've still got Fabian Schär, you've still got Dan Burn. They're the two standout guys for me who are going to have that experience. I think the thing that's missing is maybe somebody in the goalkeeping department who's going to do the same thing for us and have a bit of confidence and a bit of expertise, so we can share with the rest of the gang, especially the back four, who are all very young.
So do you think, obviously links us to transfer news, Trafford is the answer to that?
I used to think that, but I haven't seen him play for 2 seasons. So you look at who's around as an England goalkeeper, and we saw the World Cup, and I was definitely not impressed with anybody in the World Cup. I think Jordan Pickford's our best England goalkeeper, and he's not really that good. So if he's keeping out Trafford, there's an argument to say that Trafford's not that good either. I don't mean not that good, I mean not a top keeper.
Well, clearly, obviously Man City signed him and then they went out straight away and bought another number one.
Yeah.
So he wasn't fit to be number one last season for Man City. He hasn't played much football, but he thinks, or people think, that he could come in and just be the number one at Newcastle.
I think the argument for signing him would be the fact that he worked with Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe knows what he can do. Eddie Howe's got a good coaching credentials, and we've seen what Eddie Howe's done with some of the younger players. Isaac's the main example there, for, you know, to dredge up a name from the past. But if he knows what he's like, can we get the best out of him? I probably think so, yeah.
And then obviously, if Newcastle were to sign one player or strengthen one area, what area do you think is really important to focus on right now? Is it the goalkeeper?
No, not for me. I think it's centre midfield, but not necessarily the same type of player. If you think of a defensive midfielder, who we got to do that job? We can have Bruno doing that job, but he's our only creative player, so we need to release him. So potentially a defensive midfielder. We need some creativity going forwards. I think we said this a lot last season, that no Bruno, no win, because there's no creativity there. So the next alternative for a midfielder would be somebody who's got that creative piece to them. They can put the through balls through. If we're sticking with Eddie's style, it's got to be balls slid in or played wide. And currently, there's nobody to do that apart from Bruno.
Could Voldemort fill that role, or?
No, I don't think so.
I think he's that kind of player.
I think that Voldemort is a brilliant player, not for the Premier League though. Honestly, I think he's fantastic. If he was playing in Spain, where it's much slower, not necessarily Italy because it's more defensive and he'd struggle. Germany, he was obviously fantastic, but I think as he gets older, he may change for operating in Germany, but I don't think he's got the attributes for Premier League. Great footballer, not a Premier League superstar.
So with that in mind, you can't see him really playing that 10 role, which means he might be fighting it out with Wissa and Osula for the number 9. Who do you see being the starting number 9 next season?
Personally, I think Eddie Howe will pick Osula. And for me, my choice would be Osula. And this time last year, he was a £10 million signing from Sheffield United. But I think, given the fact that, as you talked about before, the psychology and the training and all of that faith from Eddie Howe, he's starting to transform.
He looks confident.
I think the psychology in his play has a lot to do with it. You'd see a lot of his shots going high and wide when he cuts in from the right-hand side. But again, we're forgetting that he was 20 years old when he signed, a young lad. So yeah, I think out of the three of them, Osula's the man. He's not a superstar, he's not going to play for Real Madrid in the next couple of seasons, but he's out of the three, he's my pick.
And out of the three, you would argue he's got the most potential to grow into an even better player as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there's anywhere else for Wissa to go.
No.
He's not going to learn anything new. We've seen that he can't fit really into Eddie Howe's system. In a different system, he'd go back to his Brentford scoring antics. But I think, unfortunately for him, he's behind Osula.
Yeah. Which leads me to my next question of, what's the biggest concern going into this pre-season? Is it obviously that we've got a few attacking options and Newcastle probably aren't going to spend, or is it Bruno potentially leaving? What's the biggest concern you've got right now?
It's Bruno, definitely. Strikers-wise, if we get the rest of the team working and playing Eddie's system, and that includes Osula closing down on his own up front like he did really well last season, I think if we get that right, anyone could score if you're in the right position on a Newcastle team. So we've seen it with Isaac, and he didn't close down as much. We've seen it with Osula, and it worked. We've seen it with Anthony Gordon, and it worked. That's
Bruno leaving's the big
definitely.
concern. And then, what would success look like next season? Obviously, there's the constraints you've mentioned about spending money. Some of the teams that finished lower in the league that just avoided relegation have managed to spend lots of money. You know, what does a successful season look like?
I think you've got three different things to think about. Successful, if you compare last season, successful would be not getting relegated. So if you'd spoken to a Spurs fan at the end of the season, well, is anything going to change for them? So the first thing you can say is that some people will be the doom and gloom merchants, and getting relegated would be, not getting relegated would be success. But for me, I think with the squad we've got, I've got no expectations of winning the league, no expectations of Champions League, but something like 7th or 8th, and you're not happy with that because you want your team to do as well as possible, but judging by the quality, the volume of players we've got in the squad, I think that will be a success. 7th, 8th, maybe 9th, and it's disappointing because we've played Champions League twice in 4 years and all that kind of excellent stuff from the past, but we've been hamstrung by rules.
And does it feel now that, you know, the end of that first cycle of buying players like Isaacs, Gordon's, Bruno's is coming to an end, and another rebuild is starting, and, you know, 7th or 8th would be a good position to then push on next season?
Yeah, a good chance to reset, but like we said at the start, we haven't got those experienced players. Middle of the pitch, we haven't got a 26-year-old alongside Bruno doing something good. So having a clear out and a big reset, it's all well and good, but you've got to have, in addition to your core 23-year-old and younger, in addition to that, you've got to have some decent experience in there. So reset maybe. Can they grow in a season on their own without that person? Hopefully, but maybe not. So yes, reset definitely needed. There's lots of different players have gone. Kraft, Target, they've gone. Trippier, who weren't doing it for us, and we need them replaced with something.
Fair. And then, obviously, looking at a positive then, what are you most looking forward to next season?
Watching the young players. I think if you listen to the hype and watch the YouTube videos of Baz, he looks quite exciting. And Stir, he looks. And I know it's YouTube and all this kind of stuff, but he's a young lad.
With potential.
With potential, he can do some good stuff, and we all know that some of those European leagues aren't as strong. But he looked all right. So, particularly those two out of the 4 that have come in, I'll be interested in seeing how they do. Yeah.
Okay. And then, do you have a bold prediction for this season? You know, is it where we're going to finish it? Is it who's going to do really well? Something that might happen. Something that people are going to go, yeah, they're going to laugh at you now, yeah. But at the end of the season they'll go, all right.
So kind of two things, and it's sort of building on what I said earlier on. The first thing is that I see Asula scoring quite a few goals, and thinking about it, my thought process is really that we've got 3, maybe 4 wingers who can put the ball in for him, and his running compared to Gordon and compared to Isaac previously, and I hate referring back to him because he's already been gone. Yeah. But if thinking of how we played, if we've got him making those runs, which we know he can do, I think he'll score a hatful of goals with lots of assists from wide positions.
Okay. Interesting. So you're saying, you know, Premier League top scorer, or?
No, not Premier League top scorer. And that all depends on my other prediction that I've got in my mind. So the two things go together. And my prediction is that the anxiety that Anthony Elanga's got will disappear sometime in the next 4, 5 or 6 weeks of the start of the season. So it's clear he's a good player. Yeah. He was in the Manchester United youth setup. He's done it for Sweden in the World Cup. He was
fantastic at Forest.
Scary player at Forest, but you can see he's apprehensive and he's indecisive when he's got the ball at his feet, even if he's deciding to make a run or not and use his pace. So that's the second prediction is that he's going to be part of that crew of 3.
So when he comes good, he'll help.
So him and Baz and Barnes, they're going to be the 3 who do it. But yeah.
And then when this transfer window comes to an end, will Bruno be a Newcastle United player?
I'm going to say yes.
What fills you with confidence for that?
If somebody were to offer me a new job and double my salary, I would possibly think of leaving straight away. But what benefit are you going to get? If you go to Arsenal, you're just one of 5 or 6 players in the middle of the pitch. Maybe they'll win the league, maybe they'll qualify for the Champions League. And for a 29-year-old, will he be 30 by the end of the season? 29. It's a thing. If Newcastle can do something wages-wise, maybe that's why they're not signing more players of established quality. So yeah, I'm reasonably confident he'll be here.
Okay. And then, obviously, there's been some sad news surrounding Newcastle United with the passing of Kevin Keegan. Can you sum up what Kevin Keegan means to Newcastle, not just the football club?
I think if you go back to the days of when he signed as a player, so he was already my favourite player, and when the news broke, I went to the loft and got my Kevin Keegan jigsaw out. So it was the year he signed for Hamburg. So I've got my jigsaw out and I'm doing that on the kitchen table at home. So the impact that he had as a player, as a Liverpool player, on an impressionable 10-year-old, he was fantastic. You know, when he played for England, he inspired you by his performances. And I think as a footballer, he won the Ballon d'Or or the European Player of the Year at the time twice in a row. And he became famous because of his performances and because of his ability to be honest and go shopping in Germany and speak to people in shops in Germany. So he wasn't going to sign them. So he's inspired some kind of confidence, and he's generated that friendliness, and people believe him. And the thing that got it for me is that yes, it was 1996 and we had the entertainers, and he was a player and he's a fantastic player. But if you think back at the whole honesty thing, is when he was England manager, when he quit, he couldn't do the job. I think everyone could see that he couldn't do the job. And at the end of the game, he confessed. He said, I can't do it. I've taken the team as far as I can, and I'm honest with you, and I'm going to tell you that I can't do it anymore, and I quit. And if you want to know anything more honest than that, imagine saying those sort of words in front of 5 or 10 million people who'd watch the England game. So
you'd never see it in today's game.
It'll never happen now. So yeah, I think the big thing for me is honesty.
And that means that the fans and the city can relate.
Yeah, everyone trusted him.
Well, thank you very much.